Good evening.
Hey, Evan, Andrew, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Looks like you get a little sun in your face. You got sun
Yes.
still, huh?
Sorry?
You have sun. It looks like the end of the world over here. It's like dark clouds, hail, rain, snow.
Well, we've had snow the last 3 days in a row. We actually have the sun at the end of the day here, so maybe it's moved over to you, but hopefully it moves out from you as well.
We had some snow too.
Hey, Evan, I see you got your green screen going. What are we going to get today for a
Oh.
background?
I know. I'm getting ready. I have interviews.
Oh, sweet.
Finally. Two.
Wow,
All
great.
But I'm still going forward with my private practice, my business. So we'll do both.
All right. Hey, Melissa, good evening.
Hello, my medical device friends.
No, my wife said, "What are you doing tonight?" I said, "I'm with my friend Maker Mark
Nice.
and all my Zoom friends. I wish I could share it with you, but I can't."
I liked your picture in the email.
Oh, thank you.
It was very outdoorsy.
Yeah, I think that was a few years ago. We had done a 50-mile canoe hike, and one of the adults happened to take that picture, and I was just catching my breath after coming on shore with the canoe. It was pretty funny.
50 miles, that's long. Am I yelling? Because it feels like I am a little. I talk loud.
No, I don't know if you're yelling.
Okay. Hi, Barry.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Andrew, at first it looked like you had a bandana. The sun is right on your face. It's kind of cool how it's hitting you.
Oh, thanks.
know.
Yeah, it's we finally have a little bit of sun today, so it's a good thing.
We had rain here. It was cold. Like it went down into the 30s last night, and it was like, I think we barely hit 50. So it's chilly, but the sun's out now.
Yeah, I think it's a weird weather pattern. It was 78 on Saturday here, 76.
That's nice.
It was very warm.
How about Mother's Day yesterday?
Pretty good. Low 60s. So, hey, Lisa.
Hey, how are you?
It's funny how, I mean, we're an hour from the shore, right? So we get the heat. So, but it was nice, but it is crazy, right? One day I was wearing shorts last Saturday because it was very warm. And then I'm wearing my fleece 2 days later, right? It's kind of like Colorado.
Yeah, you can't. I used to do the switch, I called it. From living in Chicago, you had your winter clothes and your summer, but here you can't do that because you never know what you're going to need. I still do it and only leave like a few pairs of shorts out for the winter, but it's different.
Melissa, where are you, Melissa?
Littleton, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Where are
Yeah.
you?
It's the Seattle area.
Oh, nice.
Issaquah.
I don't know. It's a little rainy there though, huh?
Well, yesterday it was in the high 80s. It was brutal.
Oh, wow.
And now it's like 73 degrees or something, which
Wow.
isn't that much of a difference, but cool breeze, no sun shining. Something's weird.
Welcoming, that sounds welcoming for you guys, huh? I have a cousin who lives in Seattle I talked to.
Okay. I'm curious about your robot interview.
Oh,
I had a
Yeah.
robot interview
I
today.
know, but Steve will.
I don't know. I did what I had to do. I didn't really enjoy it too much, but I tried to be calm, and in fact, I got to call the other guy from Pfizer to see what's going on there, but I don't know. So I don't know how I did. I felt like I did okay. I know I could have done better. I thought I screwed up, but then I realized that they couldn't see my screen because I kind of panicked and I went to go pull up my resume. So I was fumbling a little and it never, well, Word started to load, but then I was like, okay, they can only see me in the camera, not my screen, I don't think. So I'm just telling myself that they didn't see that. And even if they did, it's not the end of the world, I guess. But that was my one major thing. And then they asked me about core. What is my favorite or core belief of their company and why? And I'm like, I studied my resume and I studied my the job description, and I went to the website and I looked through all the drug names from A to Z, and believe you me, there's a lot of them. And I didn't see anything about core beliefs, so I had to kind of just,
Wing it.
wing it.
Did they have an about or a mission statement, or
I don't
usually
even-
on the about page? No, well, and you bring up a good point, and
I'm sharing it so you guys, if it ever happens, you might want to look into it. Not that they're going to pull that same question on you, but just to share.
yeah, I think it's important to go to the mission statement, their values, especially when you're talking about company culture. Why do you want to work there? It's nice to say that their culture, their mission and vision are aligned with your personal and professional vision. So, but
Yeah, and
before
culture is a big deal these days. So, but culture is a little bit different than core beliefs, but you know
very
what I mean?
similar, it's nuanced, but I just gave a presentation on Friday about soft skills, and one of the things that people are looking for, again, a lot of people have good resumes, good technical hard skills, but it's those soft skills that they're really interviewing you for. So, but before we jump in, Brittany, welcome. Is this your first time with us?
She's muted.
Yes, I noticed. Brittany, can you hear me? Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hi,
This is my
how you
first
doing?
time.
All right. All right. So it looks like other than, hi, Catherine. Catherine's here. And we have our caller from 415 area code. Can you hear us?
Anyone see
Very
that?
heavy breathing.
No, I think that was Barry.
What did I do now?
Yeah. I think their phone may be on mute. They may like to listen, but
What is up with it saying mystery caller?
That's me. I was being funny.
Oh, I love it.
We don't know who it is, and we're trying to get them to give us their name. That's what's the mystery.
We got a
caller.
stalker, folks. We got a stalker.
I know. Probably not that bad, but
It's a
all right.
spy stealing our trade secrets.
I wish I had the winning lottery numbers. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh,
So
man, yeah.
that and the vaccine, right? The code for the, well, I don't know. It's been a few days and I'm just as confused as I was Thursday, right? On what's happening.
I've turned it off. I haven't
Probably
really.
a smart thing.
Yeah.
It's the way I go to sleep very quickly. I turn it on and I'm asleep in 30 seconds.
All right, I'll share. Okay, this is confidential. Brittany, you're new to the group, so just remember what happens on the call stays on the call, right?
Gotcha.
All right.
Yes. I
So
figured.
when I can't handle the news anymore, I'll say, honey, I'm going to turn something on realistic, and I'll turn on a 25-year-old episode of Star Trek because that's more believable than what's happening today. And if I really want to get back to my roots, I'll go back and watch Magnum PI, Andy Griffith Show. Some of those
That's awesome.
shows. You're like, it's just.
Yeah.
Where life was simpler.
Yeah. What
That's
was
for
the big
sure.
deal? It was like Goober couldn't get a date, It's like, really?
And the original Magnum PI.
Yes. Well, I didn't realize that they remade it until I was flipping through. I'm like, is this Magnum's son or something? I don't know who this guy is.
Well, they did it, and I like the Magnum with Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
But I watched the first episode of the new one, and in the first episode, he totaled the Ferrari. And
Ferris Bueller.
I thought, this is crazy. This is just going to be a bunch of car chases and weird stuff going on. It's not going to be the Magnum that I know and love. So that's it.
Yeah. All right.
What about MacGyver? Does anyone watch the new MacGyver?
I haven't seen it yet. How is it?
I like it.
All right. All right.
Not as good as the old one, though.
No, but it's pretty good.
All right. So before we jump in, I'll share one more TV show. How about the new Hawaii Five-0?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like
Pretty
it.
good.
They're
Good.
ending it. They're ending
I
it.
was going to say, did it end? That last show, was that the end of it?
Yeah, that was, they decided to stop.
10 years, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I've watched most of them, but I thought they did a pretty good job considering. That was pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah.
So
yeah.
I get in this, I'm watching The Rookie. You guys see The Rookie at all?
Yep.
I thought that was pretty good. So I don't know. You know, once in a while I'll
Very.
throw something on. So
What do you watch? Nothing?
Oh, I'm crazy. I watch 90 Day Fiance and Married at
Oh,
First Sight.
Bachelor?
Love it.
No Bachelor. No
I love 90 Day.
Bachelor. And what else do I watch? The Masked Singer. I like
wow.
mindless entertainment. I'm not into like.
Yeah. It's good escape.
As if what
I
we
started
talked
recording
about-
Seinfeld because that's always good. Make you laugh.
The new
All
Jerry
right.
Seinfeld from Netflix.
What?
all right. So
Did
let's,
everybody
stand up.
hear
That
that
was
Ben
great.
Stiller's dad passed away
Yes,
today?
that's
Yeah.
fun.
pretty bad. All
Now
right.
he's
So
with Ann. Now
let's-
he's with Ann.
all right, let's go around the room and share one guilty
The
pleasure
Zoom
show.
room.
The Zoom room, and then we'll jump in and we'll do a quick intro because Brittany is our first time with us, and she's probably thinking, who are all these strange people? So one guilty pleasure show that you wouldn't share with anyone else. All right, who wants to start?
Barry already spilled the beans.
All right. Alan, I haven't heard much about you, your guilty pleasure show.
Well, I'm not a big. I grew up in Hollywood, so I'm not really a huge fan of TV. But if I had to pull one out, guilty pleasure, a movie would be Twister. Show, I'm not so sure I could deal with Winmore Gilligan's Island, Hogan's Heroes, maybe. You know, so I'm showing my age as I speak.
No, that's pretty good. All right, Jessica, what guilty pleasure?
Oh, it's hard to choose.
I didn't hear.
I can't think of. I mean, we kind of touched on them. I like some of the old reruns, like the Magnum ones. I didn't start watching Magnum at first. Kind of came late to it, and so I'm trying to like start at the beginning and watch them. But there's one thing on Magnum that sticks with me. And when I was a sales manager, I even used it with my sales group. And he was on the outs with Higgins, of course. And he had to climb over the wall to get to his apartment rather than come the regular way. And of course the dogs are chasing him. So he runs up the steps and he's at the door and he's putting the key in the lock. And he's muttering to himself, "Don't look at the dogs, don't look at the dogs, don't look at the dogs." And he gets himself in. And that's really a powerful message. Because if you've ever watched a horror movie or somebody being chased, they keep turning around to see how people are doing. They're slowing themselves down. And if you're up against something that's tough, don't keep looking backwards and seeing if somebody's catching up with you or something's catching up with you. Focus on moving forward. Focus on getting to the end result. And I was surprised to find that gem of information from watching Tom Selleck as Magnum, but there you have it.
All right, thank you. That was a
Nice.
hey, I've learned a lot of lessons from Magnum. Some of them are appropriate for this group and some are not. So. All right, Lisa, guilty
Hey.
pleasure.
Lifetime movies.
That's
Binge
pretty good.
watching them.
Oh man, now I got a three-way tie now. Catherine,
Hallmark.
Hallmark. All right, Andrew.
You said it last week. The Gong Show. That was amazing.
Oh,
All
I used to
right,
like that one.
I know. Brittany.
Oh, so I agree with the other ladies that said 90 Day Fiance. I just watched that. I also really like, and is it okay if it's like live PD, not necessarily,
Yeah,
show?
Sure.
I like live PD.
Yep, every little
I'm
bit.
I'm from Oklahoma, and they, Tulsa area, and they're in Tulsa, and I'm like, yeah, that's unfortunately how it is in that area. I can relate. I'm like, yep, I know where they are.
I love that picture.
Yeah,
Thank you.
in your
It's
background.
Laguna Beach area. I took it and then I enhanced the photo, and it's my actual happy place. So I just love having it, every single time I get on here.
Excellent. Welcome. All right, Evan. Guilty pleasure.
Well, I just had to turn it off to come on here. The Ozark.
Oh.
I've been very much into Ozark, and yeah, they just somebody just got whacked. It's terrible.
I haven't seen that. My brother, I was watching Justified, and I told my brother, he's like, you should see Ozark. And I'm like, I don't know. Justified was pretty intense for me. I'm trying to recover from that one. So, but I'll put it on my to-do list. All right, cool. Melissa, did you share a guilty pleasure yet?
Well, I mentioned Seinfeld, but then I had to delete them because it took up too much on my DVR. But I don't know. I love the Brady Bunch.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm getting pressure to watch Outer Banks, and
It's
I love
good.
All American on Netflix right now. Oh my gosh, so good. So I don't know. I really don't watch a whole lot of TV.
Some of these are
I'm into Jimmy Fallon right now too. The home edition.
Yeah. It is, isn't it funny how there are times when I'm preparing dinner, I'll put on Kitchen Nightmares, just Gordon Ramsay, and I'll be like, how can this guy not clean his kitchen? How can this guy? So it's pretty funny. I feel like he's almost watching me while I'm cooking. So that's kind of background noise. But so I have a tie for my guilty pleasure. My wife hates it when I start singing these songs. Well, one of them is Love Boat and Fantasy Island. So that's like when I'm feeling really like
The plane.
Yeah, but the Love Boat was kind of like, how that was like
Corny.
the cruise, right? When you're like, I'm going on a cruise, I'm going on the Love Boat. So it was
Oh, you
pretty
can't
bad.
do that again.
No, that's
Not the same.
Soon they're gonna open camping here. I heard today. Well, tomorrow is the first day they can start opening up camping.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting.
I
All
have,
right.
I have one other guilty pleasure that's only on in the summertime. The new, well, I like the old one too, but the new Match Game with Alec Baldwin. Ooh, it is so good. And those celebrities are so drunk. It's real booze in their glasses, by the way.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, those were the real shows. All right.
Oh,
so,
and Big Brother. Speaking of summer shows, Big Brother's a good one.
I don't really watch that much, but I know the show, so I'll take
I've
your
only seen 2 or 3 seasons. I don't like Celebrity Big Brother though.
It's pretty interesting. All right. So, Brittany, are you feeling at home now? Welcome.
Yeah. You guys are really relatable.
Well, wait till later once we start drinking, right? When the cocktails start coming. But so one of the things that's interesting, Evan, you said you were on an interview today or this week?
I had I guess you call it a robot interview, just literally half an hour ago. I said, let me just get it over with. And it was better than I expected because, you think you're talking to a computer, which you are, but there's videos of the HR person asking you the question. So it really wasn't that bad. And when you're not, I guess, let me think, this was a company called SPG, Wound Care Group. So, and it's for an associate director position. It was just an initial screening. So instead of them calling, which I find it so peculiar that they don't have the manpower to call, and interview on the phone, that they'd rather do it this way, but there must be a science behind it. But I don't think anyone shouldn't be worried about it. It was actually very easy, and it was probably easier than a phone interview because they make you keep it to 2 minutes. They give you a little chance to think, and the questions really weren't that difficult.
So I had an interesting call today, Evan, not with a recruiter headhunter, not in medical devices, but a gentleman from my local area. We happen to know a few people. We just reached out to connect. And I was asking him what's going on in the recruitment world, regardless of the industry. And he said it's interesting. Yes, LinkedIn is out there, Indeed, all these places. But on one hand, when companies think they can hire without a recruiter to vet people and to go through the process, everyone thinks it's easy. I'll just put a job ad or a help wanted ad, but getting all these people and to vet them to find the right candidates, people don't realize how long it takes. And he goes, I actually go in there and I can really help people be very specific by narrowing down the algorithm and the keywords and using the technology. And it's not that, to your point, it is easy. They just want to find people. They need to come from this shotgun, and not even to a laser, just from this shotgun to a rifle, for crying out loud. Because right now, and again, it depends on the industry. He goes, I've worked with service shops, tradesmen, because they need good mechanics, good HVAC people, all types of people. And he goes, it's very interesting how it's becoming more, and you would think differently that companies were going to go and do less recruiting and headhunting. He goes, it's actually picking up in some segments. So I wonder if that's carrying over to medical device as well. And I think it really depends on a lot of factors.
Well, I talked to an executive recruiter maybe it's about a month ago now. And he had said that everything had dropped off dramatically, but that he needed to change his MO. And I agreed with him. I said, he needs to do more recruiting on his part versus just people landing on his lap, applying. He had to do more research through LinkedIn and the other sites. And it worked out well for him that way. And that's what also happened with another person I know who's a recruiter. I have two friends that are recruiters. And they just had to be more creative. Nothing's really stopped. It's just changed. And companies have to plan for the next year. And now more than even a couple of months ago, I think that things have picked up. The fact that I applied yesterday and got 2 okays for interviews today, I was like, okay, I'll take it. So something's going on.
What was the other one, Evan?
You're a Zoom expert now.
I'm not going to say it's, medical device, but it's for Merck.
Okay.
So I applied for a position for sales enablement, which is one of my specialties. I work with sales process. So it's one thing I'd say is I have a knack for turning salespeople and, new salespeople into great salespeople, creating a process and having a common language and aligning everybody to it.
Well, I think that's it, when you can separate yourself. And did anyone add a video to their profile? Did we talk about that a couple of weeks ago?
You talked about it last week.
All right.
And I want to do it. I should have done it when I was dressed up.
Yeah, no, it's what do you do?
You're not going to dress up? Don't you want an excuse to dress up?
I got dressed up yesterday in my ripped jeans.
Oh yeah, happy belated Mother's Day.
Yeah, I was going to say that
Thank
too.
you.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Right.
All you mothers.
When you just said that, Steve, I was just thinking in my head, oh, you're going to get dressed up? I wore pants.
And I told my family, we did a FaceTime call yesterday, and they're like, why did you put dress pants on? I'm like, because my Zoom group told me to.
But
They
didn't you feel?
suggested.
Yeah, but Melissa, didn't you feel good all over?
I did. And you're right. I might have gotten nervous and stood up. You never know. I've gotten up a few times right now. It's, so I think it was really good advice.
The other thing is, if you smile when you're talking on the phone, that kind of comes across. And if you're dressed and you have your makeup on or whatever you guys do, and you got your hair taken care of, you are going to present better even over the phone. And Steve, your hair looks wonderful.
Thank you.
You don't need to print.
I have to say that this is the first time I've been on, but I had a really important internal referral, and I was going on the interview with the hiring manager, and I was confirmed by the recruiter, and 20 minutes before, and I hadn't taken a shower, 20 minutes before, he said, "Oh, I've decided we're going to do a Zoom call." And I'm thinking, oh my God. I had to do makeup, hair.
That's rude.
Put my contacts in, fix the Zoom thing, put on my clothes, put on my suit. I was like, I didn't have time to do, really get ready. I was like, it just happened.
That's unfortunate.
So, Lisa, you haven't been on the call with us to these calls?
No.
All right. I apologize because Lisa and I were been emailing, and in my mind, I thought you were with us in the past. So, all right, you know what?
No.
Can we do a brief introduction for everybody so she knows who we are? And I apologize. I feel
That's
like the
okay.
host and I didn't introduce everybody.
That's okay.
But she was here before too, but without video. So can you introduce yourself to us, Lisa?
Yeah. I'm from Boston area, Boston South Shore. Yay.
Yeah, but you grew up in Medford too, you said, right?
In Medford, yep. And I have a son that's 33, and I'm single, and I live in Rhode Island right now, but I'm trying to get out, but they won't let us cross state lines. And so I've been doing many interviews, but only through people I know. If I get a tip from someone that knows somebody, they connect me, and then I'll put my resume because they're going to get a fee. And I have gotten several interviews that way, but I'm obsessed and I'm anxious. I'm very anxious. So I feel like I don't even have time to watch TV because I have to spend every waking moment, and that's what I got to stop doing. Obsessing about it.
Been there, done that.
Because I'm afraid that the money's going to run out.
All right. Brittany, are you with us or did you take a break?
Oh, I'm with you guys. I just have a little chat thing.
Okay. Do you want to say hi and then we'll go around the room and introduce ourselves?
Yes. So just tell about where we're at currently with our career or school.
Yeah, whatever. Wherever you are, what part of the country you're calling from, and anything.
Oh, it cut out a little.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anything else you think is important?
So I did mention Tulsa. Someone asked if I was still in Tulsa. No, I'm in Southern California completing a master's degree. It's in geology, but I do research in, oh my gosh, every area of science. I'm published in nanotechnology twice.
Wow.
Yes, with applications in dentistry and environmental remediation. And so I have about a year, maybe a little less of my master's. It's just research from here on out. I'm finishing up my last courses now, and you never know when research is going to end, but I'm going to try to wrap it up and move on into medical device sales or maybe even medical aesthetics. I have a background in cosmetology as well.
Nice.
I love both beauty and science world. Yeah,
You're
so
natural.
that would be awesome if I could somehow combine it in the aesthetics area, but I'm also open to medical device sales as well. I don't like it in the lab. I'm learning not that I don't really like it because you're just isolated from everyone. I'm pretty outgoing. I like to talk a lot. I'm pretty bubbly. And yeah, I like the idea of the uncapped commission. I would love it if I could be the like the breadwinner in the family. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's me.
You're a 1099 rep advertisement.
Am I?
Yeah.
No, that's not a bad thing.
No, that's not a bad thing. No, it's just not something I have the guts to do.
Okay. Well, hey, I mean, base salary and maybe yeah. I'm okay. I'm exploring here.
You have a good mix.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Brittany, hold that thought. I'm going to introduce you to Barry next, and then I'm going to go through the loop, and everyone here can give you a quick hi, and for Lisa too, so you know who's here. So Barry, take it away.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi.
We have something in common.
Oh,
I
yes.
ended up in medical devices and science, but my background started out in skincare and aesthetics too. I'm a licensed
Awesome.
esthetician.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's nice. So do you focus in the medical aesthetics or maybe
I
more
ended up in ophthalmology by mistake.
ophthalmology? Okay,
So I
yeah.
stuck with it.
Yeah. Well, if you enjoy it, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
It's about exploring and seeing what you like, I bet.
All right, Andrew, you're next to my, wait a minute, that side on the screen. Go ahead.
Side, okay, all right. Yeah, hi, Andrew from Ontario, and just trying to gain a lot of information, which I have been, and it's this group is great, and so I don't have a lot or any experience in medical device, but working on changing that, and so it's all good.
Awesome. Kind of same position. You're
Yep, Evan,
Newbies.
you're next, please.
Sure. I have been a clinician, a dietitian for nearly 30 years, but been in medical devices for 20 years. And just recently decided, because of the job market, although I love medical devices and I'm still looking, that I think going back to what I did, my roots, is I actually, during COVID, I went to clean out the attic and I found all of my old boxes of stuff, pulled it out and went, why am I not doing this? And I worked with a coach virtually, kind of like this is, and her whole model was completely virtual. And so I'm taking my business back out, Appetite and Attitudes.
Wow.
It's a nutrition, weight loss, and wellness kind of program, recruiting people, as well as because it's going to take time to build it. So I'm still interviewing and looking for positions, but I worked in the wound care field. I worked in diabetes first, insulin pumps, and I went to wound care with KCI and WoundVax. Really loved helping people and helping patients and doctors use the products in the OR and having an impact with the patients. And seeing them heal. Then I went to Convatec, which also had negative pressure, but they used other products for wound care and skin care and critical care, and worked my way up from sales to management to sales leadership, where I worked as a national clinical manager, and then in training and development. So my company realigned and my position was eliminated, which gave me some time to just get my act together. But then COVID happened while I was trying to find a position. But it all worked out for the best, because now, I got to meet you guys. I don't think I would have met you guys. And I'm really enjoying the process.
Nice.
Excellent, thank you.
Interesting.
Melissa, could you say hi and, I don't know, introduce
Hi,
yourself?
welcome Brittany and Lisa. It's nice to have you in our group. And so I started in food sales, believe it or not, first, and then I moved into medical because that's what I wanted to do. And sold a couple of respiratory related drugs. I've sold respiratory cardiology diagnostic capital medical equipment. I've also sold library software. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but web-based and Windows-based. It's a very long sales cycle, but those librarians were a hoot to work with. You had to crack them, and they didn't like to talk, but once you broke them, then they liked to talk a lot. So that was kind of fun, and I traveled a lot with that job. My territory was North America and South America.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wait. Oh my goodness.
And then back to medical device. Oh, and I went back to school and I got a computer information system certificate. And then my most recent, I broke into dental sales, doing imaging and software and hardware and imaging,
Nice.
like when you go and get your teeth x-rayed.
Interesting.
So, and then COVID happened while I was kind of restarting my job search. So I'm looking.
Yep. Yeah, boy. So just out of curiosity, when you go to South America, did you have to get a bunch of shots, right?
I never had to go there. I was excited to go there because I sold something to this guy in Brazil, but they flew him here and ended up training him here in Denver, believe it or not.
Oh.
So the farthest I got was Alaska for my travel with them, but it was cool. And I never got to go to Brisbane, where they were based out of Brisbane, Australia, the company.
Man.
But there were times I traveled 3 weeks out of the month. So
That's not fun. Done
No, it
there, done that.
wasn't.
Yeah, that's a
I
bit
missed
much.
my doggies.
Yeah.
All right. So, Catherine, good evening. How you doing?
It's fine. I'm Catherine, and I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. I have a company that I developed a car seat cover that helps people with limited mobility and strength be able to just sit, turn, and slide into the car. It's named after my mom, Ruby. So if you think of the Wizard of Oz, you'll remember it. It's
Oh.
Ruby's slipper.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Oh,
That's great.
All right. Thank you. Jessica, could you say hi, please?
sure. I'm Jessica. I'm calling from
Mystery caller left.
the Seattle area, and I'm drinking beer. You didn't check with us, Steve, what we were drinking.
Well, Jessica, at this point, I think I know what you're drinking.
Beer.
Okay.
We've all drunk the Kool-Aid.
Right. Anyway, I always end up in medical sales, and I did start out working as a station assistant at a clinic when I lived in Minnesota, and then I worked for Xerox Corporation, and I ended up in the medical field, in the medical vertical, and then I went to work at 3M with the cochlear implant program. And so that was a real heady experience, helping obtain the first FDA approval on an implant to replace one of the 5 senses. I had 18 states. I traveled 50 weeks out of the year to 3 or 4 cities a week. And things became a blur because every Marriott hotel room looks the same. Trust me on this one. And then I worked with software, and I ended up at Microsoft selling into their medical market. But also, Brittany, I worked for a environmental laboratory for a while. We did water and soil testing, and I took a geology class, and I was enchanted with that whole industry and was sort of wondering why I didn't know about this when I was in college. But,
That's nice to hear that you liked it.
so, yeah,
Most people think it's boring.
No, it's fascinating. And everyone in the class said the same thing. They were like, we must have had great teachers then, Brittany, because you're all enamored. Anyway, and now, and I've done sales management and coaching and mentoring and all those kinds of things. But I really would just like to find a job, because I'm very good with phone sales, even though I have done a lot of traveling. I'm very good with phone sales, putting together programs that really work well. And I'd just like to work for some company where I can believe in the product and have a passion about it and evangelize, drum up business that I can hand off to somebody else who, if they need a face-to-face, they can go out and close it, because I don't want to have to paint my face and curl my hair. As you can tell, because you are not looking at a picture of me on your screen. And thank you, Steve, for putting this. These people are wonderful. I wish they lived nearby, except I couldn't see you anyway because of staying at home, but still. You guys are great.
So, Jessica, I was looking at your picture. Is that a frozen lake or a defrosting lake, or?
Yeah, those little, I think this is intriguing. Those are air bubbles that have frozen in that lake.
Very pretty.
Cool.
Very cool. Thank you for the update. And Alan, do I need to ask, are you on your porch tonight?
Nothing has changed except that I went to the other side of the bench and I'm still smoking a different cigar.
Okay, good.
Oh my
So
goodness.
for those of us, those of us who don't know you, how about a quick introduction, please?
Okay, I'll make it real brief. I started my career in the ER as an ER tech. After 10 years in completing my college, I went into sales, basically was respiratory sales. Company was sold. I transitioned to the Pacific Northwest and a litany of pharmaceutical companies. I worked with cardiovascular, antibiotics, hypertension, pain management seemed to be my specialty overall. All companies have been either sold or have gone bankrupt. My favorite was the diagnostics company and the cancer genetics company, all of which were either bankrupt and or sold. So now I'm still working in the, looking for a position, looking for a long-term position. COVID-19 has not exactly helped me, but on the flip side of that, it's making the creative side of me come out. And so that's really what it comes right down to. And I will say, based on some of your other phone calls and listening to past recordings, I changed not a lot, but just a little bit my introduction on my LinkedIn. So I think it was shorter and much better and more concise for what people may be looking for. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Alan. All right. So it seemed like we've been around the horn already, and it seems like we just started. But one of the things I wanted to throw out as a topic, you know, this is an ongoing journey, and it's funny how I think I shared with you my backpack has been packed and ready to go because I keep wanting to go camping, and it reminded me that this is a process, right? There is no, hey, the job market's going to open up May 20th. In Connecticut, they're supposed to start opening up some businesses. But the hairdresser, that's the big one. They, I don't know if I told you,
Not for you.
Governor said, yeah, you can open up the hairdressers, but you can't use any hair dryers. So the hairdressers are very frustrated. Like, how can you do that?
What?
So,
Blows the germs around.
But if they do it with heat, the heat could kill it.
but here's the question, Barry. So what do you do with air conditioner in the summer? Do you say we can't blow an air conditioner or have a fan on the ceiling?
None of it's based on science. That's the problem.
Right. So
And
this,
it's also fluid because the COVID virus evidently, I read for a while, I don't know if it changed, but it thrives in hot heat and humidity. So that would make sense with the hairdryer thing, but whatever. But you know, it changes all the time, the information we get.
I don't believe them anyway.
well, but this is the whole point. You know, I was thinking about we're all on a journey, and I feel okay. Here's the other guilty pleasure. When the kids were young, every I don't know, couple times a year we would watch the old original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Good
And
one.
remember they would go for that ride in that little boat thing, that LDS or LSD ride. I almost
Yeah,
feel
it
like-
was an LSD ride.
yeah, it was some type of psychotic drug, but I almost feel like we're on this crazy journey. We don't have a map, we don't have a compass. All we know is that there's a road in front of us or a trail, and we keep following the blazes, but we're going in circles. So
Well, we're learning about ourselves. It's a journey inward as well.
thank you.
Spitting is still a dirty habit.
So what is, Barry?
Spitting is still a dirty habit. That's the line from the movie when they're in the boat.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the first part?
Spitting is a dirty habit. She's picking her
Oh,
nose.
yeah, I wouldn't have remembered that. Oh my gosh, I love that movie. I never saw the remake though.
It wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good.
But I didn't bother. I heard it got bad reviews.
Hmm.
Well, it's funny. I think I mentioned my kids, we would have these Saturday Westerns or, old monster movies. And I explained to them, I made them watch a bunch of Humphrey Bogart movies, right? African Queen, Sahara, some of my favorite, Maltese Falcon. And I explained to them, a lot of the movies you watch today are remakes of things that were made in the 30s, 40s, 50s. But a lot of those movies were made in the 20s.
Yeah.
And then the silent era movie. And so when you think about everything that we're doing, it really is a remake or a do-over. And sometimes they're better, but I don't know. When was the last time they did something? I mean, okay, Hawaii Five-0 is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But for
It's
the most
reimagined because they're not just trying to recreate it. It's the same way that, I think about my nutrition program. I'm looking at it from 20 years ago. I've learned so much from a business perspective, also from learning from training and psychology and from nutrition.
Wisdom, experience that you've had in 20 years.
And I'm having a lot of fun putting it together. It's just making it even better because I'm like, wow, how did I think to put it away that way? I put it together. This is the way it should be. So I look at it as an opportunity to improve ourselves. To reimagine. We have the time now. I read an article this morning about using our cell phones doesn't give us the time to sit and wonder and have just the ability to daydream. They say that it actually it creates the synapses connect in a different way that encourage brainstorming and being able to figure complex subjects out. But we don't do it now because we spend too much time filling all that dead space when we're bored with picking up our phones 50, 60 times a day or checking our emails 70 times a day. And so it was just
kids, they're worse.
Well, that again, so, just revisiting something like that, saying, I'm sure there's a positive consequence for what we're doing, but there's a negative consequence too.
Well, they're more technically advanced. I think the kids, they're better.
They have more synapses.
To them. Easier.
But here's the thing, Melissa. So 2 points, Evan. It's so funny. Who here gets their best ideas in the shower? Right.
Yeah.
Running. Or
Right.
exercising,
Yeah.
Right. So the shower, and when I take my dog for a walk, I usually disconnect my phone. But you bring up a good point. A lot of times when I'm working with clients, and especially business owners, about overscheduling and trying to say, I need to have a productive day, and they schedule from sunrise to sunset without time there, expansion and contemplation. So you need time in there for problem solving because you can't. There's always going to be. So we talk about scheduling 75 to 80% of your day because things are going to pop up, right? That's the normal routine. The other hand, Melissa, to your point, so I was at the phone store with my son a couple of years ago, needed a phone. I don't know, his phone broke or something. And I'm sitting there talking to the technician or the salesperson, and I was asking questions about the phone, and they said, oh, well, your son would know about that. And I said, well, why would my son know? And they said, well, they're younger, the kids know. I'm like, my kids don't do IT at home. They don't fix the computers. They don't program the stuff.
True, I always have to fix it.
Well, the thing is, it was interesting. We grew up, I did, because we were learning and troubleshooting and fixing this stuff. The kids grew up, it was already there. They never had to problem solve without it. So for them, they don't know what Windows 3.0 is or DOS, right? So they get a computer with Windows 10 and think it was always like that, not realizing, again, it was built on all these other tools coming up. And the Tandy TRS-80, right, where we had to write the program and type it in before we played a game.
The Trash 80.
Exactly.
I did email back in the mid-'80s. 3M gave me a Trash 80, and we had these Mickey Mouse ears, we called them. There's big rubber things that you put on the receiver of an old-fashioned telephone.
Yep.
And so I'd be traveling and I could transmit my
Wow.
trip reports back to
Cool.
3M headquarters in St. Paul. I was doing email in the mid-'80s. But to what you're saying is, I was known in my family as the gadget queen. If there was some new technology that came out, my parents would always call me and say, "Did you get this yet?" Knowing that I did. Did I like it and should they get it? I now hardly use my cell phone. It'll be in my car, hidden under my car seat for weeks, and I
Why?
forget to go get it. And because I don't want to carry it around. I used to live in a 3-bedroom townhouse. I have a landline because I want phones all over the place. I can just pick them up. I don't want to schlep them around. And people don't understand that. I'm in the technology industry. I've sold relational database software. I've sold terminal emulation. I've sold all the different things that Microsoft sells. I've sold other things. And my sister could call me from Minnesota on a Sunday afternoon and say she was having trouble with her computer. And I didn't have to get up and go up to my office and turn on my computer. I'd just say, go to the start menu, go to this, click on that, and I'd help troubleshoot it. So I don't want to be addicted to my cell phone. And I do it as badge of honor. People get very frustrated with me, but I just think that it's a kind of crazy idea to be that hooked on it.
Well, Jessica, it's a good point. I mean, I think the kids today, the young people today, they have a different skill set because they grew up with a lot of that technology. So they have different skills. And this is a transition time with technology. So the funny thing is, again, I'm a big Star Trek fan. So they would have these little tablets right before they even had the iPad. Star Trek was always predicting the future, but also Space 1999. Anyone ever watch that show? They had this little device on their belt, which was their communicator, video monitor. I mean, again, it was a precursor to a lot of the technology we have. So the future is today. The question is, does it help? Melissa, to your point, it's not that we're reliant on it. Does it make us more efficient? Because we can only write one email at a time. We can only have one conversation at a time. The technology may help us feel like we're busier, but I don't know if it makes us more productive. And that's always a challenge because some people will confuse or conflate busy versus productivity.
Yeah.
So,
True that.
yeah.
I'm a millennial and I think it's healthy to unplug.
Yeah.
I do.
They did a study. My next door neighbor's got a daughter that she's 19 now, but I found it fascinating. They did a study in her school and they had them take the cell phones away for like, I think they started with 24 hours and then they tried 48 and then maybe 72. And they literally went through withdrawals like a drug. And it was just mind boggling how addicted they are to their cell phones. And once they pointed it out, some of the teachers now, at least around here, I don't know if you've heard of this, but they'll have a basket, like a woven basket or like a laundry basket, and you have the opportunity to put your phone in the basket so you can, pay attention to the teacher and actually learn something. Because look at these poor teachers with the kids with their phones all the time. How are they supposed to teach them anything?
They used to do that. They had to do it when my son was in high school. Now he's 33, but when they first got them, they wouldn't allow them in the classroom.
Yeah, but now they do.
Well, so Lisa, to your point, years ago when cell phones were becoming popular, when we went camping with the Scouts, there was no technology allowed for the Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
The leaders would have them, but half the places we went to, we never had service anyway, but we always had them for emergencies. And then it got to the point where the scouting program started putting material and data on, for cell phones
Right.
which was interesting. So, and then first you had one person who was maybe 17 had a cell phone. And then over the years, you had kids as young as 10 with cell phones. So then it became a normal thing. But on a camping trip, it wasn't, you couldn't use it anyway because you were busy. Most of the places we were
You
at,
didn't
we
get a
never
signal.
had technology.
Yeah, reception.
What was that, Evan?
No, you couldn't get a signal.
Right, exactly. So, so I do take my cell phone. So here's the funny part: we fall into this catch-22. I had a BlackBerry that had the camera, right, and it
I
was.
love those.
But what happened is I look at that picture, it was 0.3 megapixels. My new phone has like 15 megapixels. And, you know, so now I used to bring a digital camera, a cell phone, a GPS, all this stuff. And now I can bring my cell phone and I use it as I have an app on it that allows me to plot my course and do all this stuff. But anyways, it's my video camera, it's my still camera, it's my GPS.
No more compasses.
Well, I still bring a compass and a map as a backup.
Just in case.
Yeah, well, you have to always have a
That's
plan
old
B.
school.
Backup plan.
Well,
Otherwise, you hear about those people in the news.
And if you know how to read a map, if you know how to read a map anymore, that guy
No,
was
they don't.
one
They
of the
don't know how to read a map.
well, one of the guys
I isn't very good at it.
one of the top 3 winners on Jeopardy, Ken somebody, he said everybody should take a day a week and put aside their electronics or whatever, but like read a map rather than relying on your phone for GPS because people don't know how to read them anymore.
Well, I can tell you it's funny. We used to do orienteering just for that point. And I think I told you, you guys know all 3 of my boys are in the Marines, right? So they went months without technology, and all those map reading skills and all those skills that they learned in Scouts certainly came in handy down the road. So it was
That's
pretty funny,
good.
but they're making up for it now because now they're all in the computer playing World of Warcraft and Age of Empires and all these other games. They're all over the country. That's how they stay in touch. So it is pretty funny. All right. So what else do we want to share? Questions, topics? We got a little while. If you have to jump off, certainly understand. But
Does anybody have any interviews coming up?
I have 2 more.
Yay!
All right.
Evan.
Because those were just the
oh,
initial interviews.
Yeah.
They were just, I had a robotic one today that, you know, and then I had
Weird.
another one that you had to fill out something, a questionnaire, and I got approval today that she just asked, what days do you have available for an interview? So
Congratulations!
Awesome.
thank you.
Congrats.
Excellent.
We'll see but that, of course, I decided to move forward with my business, and then I get these 2 interviews.
they work.
So
Maybe
what
there's some
happens
signs.
when you get hired? Do you leave us?
I'm sorry?
When you get hired, Evan, do you leave us?
What do you mean leave you?
Our Zoom group.
No, well,
This
I mean,
isn't just
it's
for jobs. Yours is
all for networking. I come for the drinks.
Well, I
The
love
truth
that,
comes out.
love that kind of
Not
talk.
us, it's the drink.
all right. Well, while we're here, cheers. Good luck, Evan, and welcome to our new members of the group.
Thank you, Steve.
And
Thank you.
Alan, what are you drinking on the bench today? And how come we don't see you tonight?
I was dropping off a couple things, and I didn't do the video thing. I did the phone thing. I don't understand it myself. It's not something that has been explained to me that I clearly understand. I never had a thing for alcohol regardless. When I was in the ER, I think it started there. I just saw people getting into trouble. So today, you know, if someone offers me a glass of wine, then no problem. Yesterday, a gentleman came over to smoke some cigars. He had all the old liquors from the, when they were selling them on the flights. And he had, whiskey and vodka and blah, 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 blah.
Little cute
And he
bottle.
just looked at me and said nothing. I didn't drink anything. And he's looking at me very strange, like, are you an alcoholic? I said, no, I'm not a recovering alcoholic. I would prefer a really good cup of coffee and a really good cigar. That's just my thing.
which is kind of funny, Alan, because I didn't start drinking like I do now until I joined the Navy, worked in the OR, and got a sales job. Well, and
Yeah.
children.
Makes sense.
Well, and it's actually it's kind of an apropos thing. I've been dating now for about 4 years since my wife passed, but one of the first things people would say is, "You want to meet at a bar?" And I'm in the process of writing, if you will, a book called Deal Breakers. Of when people said, "You want to meet in a bar?" I'd say no problem. But if they had more than 2 or 3 drinks, I'd say it's done, it's over. It's just my personality. I have
And it
nothing
should have
against people
been.
who enjoy it.
That's good.
Well, again, I can't handle my alcohol. I'll be the first to admit it. A glass of wine is great. A little bit of, rum shot over ice at night is fine. But beyond that, throw some wine down or a cigar. The cigar is the first thing to go.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, I'll share a little personal story. Some of you, I think I might have mentioned it in the past. So I picked up my wife in a bar in Boston, August 2nd, 1986. True story.
And I was there.
Well, yes. But the thing is, Alan, I was up from Connecticut to visit some friends with my roommate from New Jersey. So we would go to Boston or we would go to New Jersey and hang out with his friends. And so it was in the summer. I met some friends. We went into this club across from Fenway Park.
Who's on first?
Nope, the Metro. And so I'm in this bar. It's actually a nightclub, dancing, good time, whatever. And I met this woman and I started dancing with her. And I asked her if she wanted a drink, and we're all hot and sweaty. And she goes, "Okay, this is going to really throw everyone off." She goes, "I'll have a tab."
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny, or it's like a tab. It's like, okay, so we had soda, diet soda, whatever, most of the evening. She didn't drink at all. She's not a big drinker, but 3 months later, I asked her to marry me, and June 2nd would be married 30 years.
Wow.
Yes,
So,
congratulations.
yep, we dated for 4 years after that, and then we got married. But yeah, so it wasn't. The whole alcohol thing is kind of funny. Kids and work probably drive you to drink, or COVID-19.
Well, to the point of what a lot of people have talked about, and I have to say that I've been in situations at national meetings, and we'll be sitting around and, whiskey or whatever, and I'll join the crowd. I don't mind. But at one time, I actually brought out a cigar and told, "Oh, do you have one for me too?" And the next thing you know, the CEO, the president, the vice president, the marketing director were all sitting around, and my manager saw this. And so he looked, really quickly. He comes over and he says, "So what brings Alan to join the big crowd with the big boys?" And they go, "When you can bring a good cigar like this," he says, "then you can join the big boys too. Until then, it's been nice knowing you."
That's funny.
I think a good whiskey and something similar to that and a cigar goes very, very well together. But it was the first time I had really thought about it. So from now on, and since that day, I always brought some cigars and outside, and usually one of the key players of the company will come and join me, and we'll sit back for a good hour and a half just talking. And I think that's my magnet to getting to know the company.
Excellent. So you do have a method to your madness.
Yeah. I was going to.
Well, I don't know about madness, but yeah, it's planned. It's not by accident.
Sorry, go ahead, Melissa. Sorry.
What happened to that manager? Did everything work out okay?
Yeah, no, we're friends to this day. But he makes fun of me because I am very frugal, and he always says to me whenever he calls me up, he goes, "I bet you've got Krugerrand sitting buried somewhere in your backyard." And I just laugh about it. And yeah, we're still friends today. And in fact, the last job I had, he found for me too. So yeah, everything worked out great. And again, this is just a rough period. And when people bring it up to me saying, you've got a peppered resume from the last 5 years, my straight answer is, They were bought, they were sold, they went bankrupt. I said, completely out of my control. So if you want to give me an opportunity, I'll bring value to your business as well. Let's talk. And so it's just a perfect segue for me.
That's all a hiring manager wants to hear, or a recruiter.
Yeah.
That's all. Yep. They're used to this now, because there are so many companies right now, mergers and acquisitions, and going after COVID, we're going to see a lot of bankruptcies and M&As. So.
Yeah, well, my question's going to be, and I brought this up a couple of, now you see what happens when you wind me up, Steve? And this is what happens.
Well, Alan,
But,
you're quiet most of the night. Go ahead, man. Take it away. It's all yours.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to do a soliloquy here. I just am really curious with everything that's been going on and Trump trying to rush science, which you can't rush, is what is going to come out of this from a science point of view with worldwide intervention in the science and medical community. I'm really going to be curious 4, 6 months, a year down the line, what came out of it, because I really think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing that our countries and the scientists within those countries are collaborating. I think it can only end up good.
And a lot of the bureaucracy's been cut through.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that delayed things for so long. The fact that they were able to move at lightning speed to get some of these things done, just from the testing to, I don't know how they're going to get a vaccine by January, but it usually takes years. So,
well, one of the
doing something right, and private
yeah,
industry.
one of the key science guys said, if you are not bothered by how this probe goes up into your sinuses, then the chances are the test is not being done correctly. And I really thought that through, and it's true. Everyone wants to take a little bit, pinprick like with diabetes and get the glucose. Everybody wants a simple solution, and not everything is simple in this case. And so I liked it when he said, if you're not bothered by this tab going up your sinuses to get the sampling, chances are you're not going to get an accurate reading. And I think that's so well said.
But that was the old test. The newer tests are not as invasive. And I think the other thing is the antibodies, I think, are more important for us to know whether people have been exposed to it, because you can be tested for it and you could be exposed to it the next day. So what use is it? You really need to know what percentage of people actually have been exposed to this. I'm curious. I'd like to know.
So, Evan, did you see those guys in those 2 doctors, was it a week ago, 10 days ago in California, who run their clinics? There were 2 doctors that operated a chain of walk-in clinics, and they provided for one of the counties. They provided a lot of testing and provided for the county, and they were looking at their numbers, and they were saying 25 to 50 times more people. And it's interesting because in Connecticut, and I'm sure a lot of places, we're only testing people, right, that have symptoms. People who are asymptomatic, we're not testing. We don't know really, to your point, who has it. And the other thing is, we don't know if the antibodies are going to prevent you from getting it going forward. Like the regular flu vaccine, they said mutates, right? So every year they have to come up with a new formula for that. So, and yet they still haven't found a vaccine for the common cold.
But they have a vaccine for the other versions. So what happens is the mutated one is the only one that really causes the havoc. So if everybody gets vaccinated, what they're looking for is herd immunity. But we can't have herd immunity when we're all isolated.
Right.
And yes, I know we want to protect people from getting ill. I have a 96-year-old mother-in-law upstairs, and she doesn't want to.
God bless.
Want to get sick, but
That's a lot of years.
That's a lot of genes. Good genes.
But the problem is that we can't really control this. And when you go out and you see people who are wearing their mask, well, like down here, their nose is exposed, or they're not, just there are people walking without a mask on, and then, and you're walking near them. The science is important, right? Initially, they said in March, the beginning of March, they said, oh, go to the movies. This was Fauci. Go to the movies. They wanted us to go out to dinner. They wanted us to go to, that was a Super Bowl, I think, was the biggest spreader of this disease that they allowed the Super Bowl to happen. So I don't know what the solution is. I just know
Super
that
Bowl was January.
Super Bowl wasn't right, but the fact that we had this since
It
November.
was going on before that, and we know that.
In New York, there was a whole slew of what are they called? Like the workers that the construction workers were suddenly getting waves of illness that was just nasty for a week or two. But New York construction workers, have you ever met? You probably, I mean, they're the toughest crew you can possibly think of. Well, they went back to work, right? No, I mean, none of them really ended up dying from it, but that was back in November, late November and December in New York. So this has been around longer than we thought. The problem is the cure is worse than the disease. We can't have the closure of our economy. And I mean, people are dying from not being able to eat. These kids that are at home with parents who are drug addicts or they're not working. It's really unhealthy for the whole society. So it's very frustrating. You know, we live all of us have the ability to get on a computer and Zoom, but what about the people out there that they don't even have access to a computer because there's 5 people in the house and only one has the computer. So the kids aren't learning, they're not going to school. I mean, there's a lot going on right now that's very frustrating. It's scary.
And if I could throw it in there, I don't know what this thing is with the children that are now dying. They said the other day there was only 30, and the next thing you know, there's 300. There's something going on with the kids, and it's going to be interesting to find out down the road whether that is some type of a mutation from COVID.
Well, they said it's in New York, and you have to understand in New York compared to like California, and they're not all dying. There's only 3 kids that died, but they're getting this Hashimoto, I forgot what it's called, Kawasaki, which is it's an inflammatory response. The blood vessels get inflamed. The problem is you can have many, many morbidly obese kids in New York City, especially the minorities.
It's nationally. It's not just New York. It's national.
I know, but you're in a city, if you saw the unhealthiness of the population, the minority population, unfortunately, these kids also are not going to get help. That's the other problem. No. If these kids are having problems breathing, they can't wait 24 hours. They're going to end up really sick.
So then if they die, are they going to call that COVID, or are they going to call that a respiratory related? You know, that's a whole nother can of worms.
Well, right now, if they test positive for COVID, it's going to be COVID. But where it's like, remember when we didn't have the testing back in like January, like February, March? We didn't know people were getting sick, but we didn't know whether they weren't. Some people were testing negative. It'll end up being COVID. But it's not, even though we hear it, it's such a small percentage of the population.
Okay, does anybody have anyone they know that has it?
All right, I'll share. Did I tell you about my neighbor across the street? I think so. Last call, she was in the hospital for 3 weeks. I didn't tell you. Okay, must have been on another Zoom call. So
you're zooming behind our backs.
I'm sorry.
Call on Thursday.
I'm sorry. So my neighbor called. And I said, Marguerite, how you doing? She goes, I've been in the hospital for 3 weeks. She's a few years older than me, African American. And I said, what happened? She goes, I was sick. The doctor thinks it was COVID-19. And I said, you were in the hospital for 3 weeks and they didn't test you? She goes, no.
Wow.
Where was this?
Right.
Where you are? It's in Connecticut.
Windsor.
That's the other. You're really only seeing the testing in the hot spots.
Right. So what happens is, part of it was there was a shortage of tests. She may not have had the symptoms of all the symptoms, but they said, so she has other health issues.
Well, people who have comorbidities like hypertension and diabetes are the ones that are at highest risk.
Right. All types of situations. So what happened is the doctor says, oh yeah, it was probably aggravated by COVID-19. But they can't say, and a lot of places weren't testing. So we were flabbergasted. We didn't know because we haven't really seen her because we can't go out. So it was just very interesting. So
I had 2 people that I know. My wife's coworker got it. and wasn't too bad. It was a milder case, but she still was sick with fevers and pain in the chest and her back and coughing. And that was for 10 days. And my friend, who's a detective, and he got very, very ill and ended up being hospitalized twice. Thank God they didn't have to intubate him, but they finally gave him, I forgot the name of the medication.
Hydrochloroquine.
I think it was either hydrochloroquine, it was a Resvespa. I don't know. Remdesivir. I can remember these drugs. Yes. And within 24 hours, he recovered enough to go home, and then he convalesced, and now he's back to work.
I saw a good article, and Alan, you may have some insight too, is reading about the blood clotting. You know, they're treating people with ventilators with flu-like symptoms or pneumonia-like symptoms, but the symptoms they're missing or misdiagnosing were clotting, not realizing that this was causing half the issues. And once they realized that, they could treat with heparin and other things, and it's helping the treatment. But they were treating this like pneumonia, but it was really a different disease.
Well, the bottom line is, unfortunately, with even in Oregon, whenever we read who passed is and who they are, we'll read, such and such 80-year-old comorbidities. And so it's when the body's trying to fight off something else, it weakens the immune system, as we all know. And it's attacking cardiovascular. It's attacking, even my girlfriend says to me, well, your diabetes and you have hypertension and you've got cholesterol issues. I said, well, never mind the cholesterol, but the hypertension and the diabetes type 2, I'm healthier other than that. People would still say, well, you're the one who has to worry. I'm not worried. If I get it, I get it. There's not much more you can do about that. I'm not going to live in a bubble. But I understand what they're saying. Is that a lot of these people had, pre-existing conditions that they were either not being managed properly, which I think is about half the population. And like you said, in New York, there's a lot of obesity. Well, there's a lot of diabetes based on that, on a worldwide basis. But yeah, U.S. is definitely a target for that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I know there's going to be a lot of Monday morning quarterback as we get data in from the U.S., so that's a good thing. We now have the last thing I read in the last couple of days, there's some limited data that think that this COVID-19 was in the U.S. as early as September or October. So it's hard to backtrack it, but I think once they start looking at the numbers, that will add to the information. So it's going to be interesting. A year from now, I wish we could snap our fingers, but between now and 12 months, it's really going to be interesting what we find out. And again, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't when it comes to opening things and wearing a mask, not wearing a mask. I have mixed feelings, right? On one hand, I wash my hands all the time. I'm protecting myself. And yet on the other hand, excuse me, there are a lot of people who aren't as careful. And those are the people that are out coughing, spitting, wiping their, touching all the doors and the gas pump and touching all the produce in the supermarket.
Yeah. Licking the Triscuit boxes in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Really, people? Come on.
You say licking?
Yeah, somebody got arrested for going into a grocery store and licking all the containers.
There was something before the virus came out where a young woman, her friend was videotaping her. She took a dare and took the lid off of some ice cream and licked it. And they did arrest her, and I'm glad.
I'm glad.
I always washed my hands a lot when I traveled. I was constantly washing my hands. And with all that travel for 3 years, to 50 weeks a year to 3 or 4 cities a week, over 18 states, I never got sick. So I have that good habit.
Oh.
And I wear the mask.
Airplanes are notorious for getting
exactly. And now and even before the virus came out, when I travel on airplanes, I always had I take some paper towels and soak them in Lysol stuff and pull them out. I'd wipe down the tray table and stuff like that. And I'm sure people thought I was crazy. And when I get into a hotel room, I go around and I do that to light switches, doorknobs, places in the bathroom, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, but I didn't do that stuff while I traveled all the time, and I lived. But I was at Costco a couple of weeks ago, and I was wearing a mask, and I walked in, and there were people there without masks on. And even though Costco had put up, it was Costco headquarters, because they're headquartered right here in this block. I could walk over there. They had, signs up of when you wait in line, you're 6 feet apart. And, they had cones down the big major aisles, and it was one way on each side. And they were doing a lot. And I was not happy about the people that came in without the masks. Not so much for myself, but I don't want to contribute, and I don't want anybody else to contribute to more people having to go into the hospital. And we have doctors and nurses who are exhausted, strained beyond belief to care for all these people, and people being cavalier about it, that really upsets me. And fortunately, Costco came out within less than a week with their new regulations, and you have to be wearing a mask in order to get in the doors.
All right, so I just noticed it's 23 minutes past the hour, and I think it's time to wrap it up. I can't stay up this late.
See, it's only going on 5:30 here.
I know.
Oh, same time zone.
Thank you, Steve.
But
Thank you so much.
But Jessica, we'll catch up later. Thank you, Brittany. We'll catch up later.
Thank you
The
so
rest
much.
of you guys have a great day, great evening, and
I ask you guys to pray for my cousin just got it, and I found out Wednesday.
Oh,
He's
yes,
got a
definitely.
rehabilitation. He has diabetes, so it's not looking good for him.
wow.
Okay.
Yep,
My-
we'll definitely
my-
pray.
My ex-brother-in-law, who I love, I think my sister was crazy to divorce him. And he has 3 grown-up kids, and they're all launched and wonderful. And he has it, but they were having him stay at home. And he's healthy, he doesn't smoke. So I'm figuring that because they told him to recuperate at home, that he's in good shape.
That's good.
But
Okay.
I'm just, hold him in your prayers as well, please.
Will do.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. If you're around Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, stop in and say hi. Have a great week. Stay dry, healthy, warm, safe.
Do this
And-
again next Monday.
Next Monday, 7 o'clock. Yep.
Oh,
All right,
well,
Andrew.
Everyone,
See you guys.
Thank
then
you
I
so
have a
much.
week to prep.
Nice meeting you.
I'll actually be on.
Yay, Jessica. We'd like to see your smiling face.
Yeah. With the